Oh my goodness, hello? Is this thing live? I think we are live. What is going on, my friends? Jumping in with the surprise stream. Unannounced. Sloth, Eric, Matthew, Davis, first people in the chat. What's going on, my friends? We're doing a surprise stream. I didn't announce this one. It kind of just, a little spontaneous. Popped to my mind. We got the Division 3 to talk about. We got to go live. Let me post about this real quick on the usual places. Hope everyone is having a beautiful Friday. And we're going to get into this very shortly. All right. We got this one. The chat's blowing up. Ricardo, what's going on? Darth, how you doing, man? Hey, we got to talk about this incursion coming up. Brad, what is up? Good to see you. Apollo, how's it going, man? Caleb Peters, Solvent. Now that you're off of work. See, I'm trying to a bit of a different time as well. Stream time, so hopefully, people who can't usually tune in get to. It's going really well. We will talk about it all in just a moment. Spontaneous like the massive 2 Division 3. True, I'm channeling, the same energy that Division 3 was announced under. 100%. Sup, Brandon? Joe, what's going on, man? Hey, Shannon. All right. Let's tweet this out. Of course, got to put hashtag the Division 3 on Twitter. But that looks good. All right. Let's get into it, shall we? We got 31 people in here. Thank you all for tuning in. Like I said a moment ago, this was a completely... So, yeah. I think we want to get into some countdown real quick.
Detected from the control point in proximity. You have received an invite.
The Division 3, people. What do we think about that? Did anyone hear about that? I mean, it was kind of a little low key. Don't know how many people saw it. RG12. What's going on? What elements should be in Div 3? I mean, that is a heavy question. That's a packed question. Wolf, good to see you. Postman, what's up, man? Stoked about the surprise title drop. Yeah. So old school how they announced it in a press release, I know. Shame about Ryberg, yeah. Yeah, we'll get into that. Geronimo, what's up? Insane announcement, I agree. Any idea if Ubisoft is moving towards Unreal 5? I see no reason why they would. Snowdrop, and this is only what I've heard behind the scenes, the current version of Snowdrop that they're going to use for Avatar and Star Wars is as powerful as Unreal 5. Obviously, engines are different, and I can't pretend to know a thing about game engines, because I just don't. But Massive has like a dedicated team at their studio that actively works on updating that engine, so no, I think Ubisoft is dead set on Snowdrop. They're using it for a lot of their games these days. So no, and I, completely honestly, the engine gives me zero concerns whatsoever. I think Snowdrop is a really powerful engine.
15 minutes lockdown.
Please proceed to your nearest exit. Lockdown safety protocols initiated.
Well, that would be something, Mav. Julian pops in. No, a little spontaneous stream talking about Div 3, I figured why not? I got the time. This is the place. But yeah. People are asking, of course, what should be added. I mean, there's a million things. I am going to soon do a Division 3 wishlist video. where I kind of go over my thoughts on each of the main, topics and components of a game. Or a game. The Division games, and talk about what I would like to see in each category. So that'll be coming very soon. But, if anyone has, like, specific topics they want to chat about, let's do it. I don't think I'm going to get into everything for the game, because then I'd just be sitting there for an hour talking. But, yeah. The answer is lots of things. Classified sets to return. RJ, we were doing so good, man. We were doing so good. I'm kidding. I know a lot of people love classifieds. Listen, I'm not opposed to classifieds coming back, but they could not be handled in the same way as they were in Div 1, because they just ruined so many things. For me personally. I know a lot of people loved them. That's great. More power to you. In my opinion, there's many more important things to get right with the Division 3 than bringing in classifieds day 1. If you want to do that, let's talk about that a year or two after the game comes out, In my opinion.
System.
Are they going to go containment? I'm not opposed. I know it's VIP. You don't really care. Still remember your vision for raids in D3. One can only hope. Yeah, I've said a lot of things over the years, and it'll be interesting when I make this new wishlist video to kind of compare. I'm not so... This might be a controversial one now. I'm not so sure I think raids are really the way to go. And I know that's crazy, because I still believe, I've said this before, and I still believe that raids are one of the biggest successes of the Division 2. I think both Dark Hours and Iron Horse are really exceptional pieces of content. But they, I don't believe, ever fulfilled the potential of what... Maybe that's not the right way to put it. They became... trying to think of how to word this. Personally, I love the raids. If it were just me and a million different me's playing the game, sure, I would say let's put in raids. But when you look at the holistic community of the Division, I feel like raids were accessed by such a limited amount of people, maybe even more so than similar types of content in other games, that I really do think that once we see this new incursion in Year 5 Season 2, that people are going to think, and this is kind of where I'm leaning, that incursions are the way to go as far as that kind of endgame content. They can still be really challenging. They can still have complex mechanics that made the raids that we have in Division 2 so great. But making it for players and giving it matchmaking, even if the success rate is pretty low, I just think is much healthier for the type of people that play the Division. And that's not to say that you couldn't change it later on. Like, 2 years after the Division 3 comes out, if people really want to raid, sure, think about doing a raid. But at launch, I feel like incursions are going to be the way to go for that kind of in-game content. And I think, I don't know this for a fact, I think that once we see this new one in like a week and a half here with Year 5 Season 2, a lot more people are going to be thinking in that direction. Because I have a feeling this one's going to be really well received. We'll see. Alright, first tangent out of the way. We talked about raids and incursions. DZ should be more utilized missions and incursions, not just PvP. DZ is certainly another big one.
System disrupted.
So that's one thing I see. Postman was mentioning crossplay. I don't have a concern in my mind that, like, it's not even a factor for me. It will have crossplay and cross progression. That's pretty much... The devs have said before, the only reason that didn't exist in the Division 2 is that at the time they were developing it, which was like 2017, 2018, it wasn't quite yet an industry standard, and so it just wasn't something that they really fit into their budget and timeline. But even nowadays, it's a standard for games, and we know it's confirmed that Heartland is going to have crossplay and cross progression, so there's not a doubt in my mind. I would bet my entire YouTube channel that Division 3 will easily have crossplay and cross progression. So that's not even a concern for me. I think it's pretty much confirmed. That, someone was saying something earlier. Oh, the city is, of course, a big one. I put out a poll across Twitter and on my community tab asking people what they thought as far as their preferred cities or locations for the game. One thing that I've always not agreed with is a lot of people always say, or I've seen people say, that a Division game could never work in outside of the US. And I just don't agree with that. Obviously, yes, the Division is a US-based organization, and that's always going to be in the lore. But let's take, for example, the plot of Warlords. What if Aaron Keener said, you know what? I'm not going to launch the missile from New York. I'm going to ship it over to London and launch it from there and still hit New York. You think we're just going to say, all right, well, you tricked us. Now we're not going to go. No, we're going to go across and get him. And now we have stuff in the lore like the mobile shade server, which you can take anywhere and keep your SHD connection active. They could, there's like a bajillion different ways they could make it work in the story for why we would be going to a different country. I'm not saying that's likely. I'm not saying that's even necessarily what I would want the most, but they could absolutely make it work. Yeah, so there's that. 62 people in here. Thank you all for jumping in. This was an unannounced stream. No one had time to plan or anything, so if you're watching the VOD, I apologize. Just thought it was, you know, a good opportunity. We have the Division 3 confirmed. We can talk about it. It'll be fun. Appreciate everyone leaving likes. We're only 4 likes away from 30 likes. If you want to help out the channel and boost the algorithm and all that fun stuff, then I'd appreciate it. But thanks for being here. What are we thinking about Div 3? As someone who lives in the Pacific Northwest, would love to see Seattle in Div 3. That's definitely a popular one I've seen. It is, I'd say, noteworthy to remember that we did learn at one point that the 3 frontrunners for Division 2's location, they said, were Washington, D.C., New Orleans, and Seattle. So there is a timeline out there where Seattle was the location for Division 2. And certainly they could go back to that for Div 3. Who knows? What's up, everybody jumping in? Elder Freddy, how you doing? The concept art for Division in New Orleans was amazing. I'm assuming Nola's New Orleans. There was actual official concept art? I don't know if I've seen that map. Is that a thing? I just know I read that in an interview. I think it might have been Julian was saying at one point that the final 3 for Div 2 were those 3.
Agent, you should be able to access
Hey,
the
Phoenix.
reactor.
I wish global events carried over into Countdown. There's a good chance we would break the servers and break the game if that were the case. Golden Bullet and all that would be pretty insane. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. Thank you for tuning in to said work, Freddy. Really appreciate it. It is my honor and pleasure. I enjoy doing this stuff, and it's
You've reached the reactor.
it's
I
still
need to
pretty
get back
surreal
online.
to me that like the Division 3 is
Now
confirmed.
that you're
Like,
in, we need to decrypt the safety protocols.
you know, everyone always said, like, oh, I woke up this morning and it just didn't feel real. But like, really, in my mind, it's still like, no, the Division 3 is just like, you know, something we want. But no, it's confirmed. And so, as someone who's played this franchise since day 1 of Div 1, it's pretty wild to think about the road we've taken to get here. And I say this without hyperbole. We are very likely the reason that we're getting a Division 3. Ubisoft was not too hot on the Division after Warlords. Even though Warlords sold really well and went against their expectations, we all know they had Star Wars in the works. Heartland was in development at that time, so I'll give them that, but I think you can tell that there's been a big shift in how they're viewing the Division, and that is largely thanks to us sticking with it despite the lack of, you know, content for that year and a half and all that stuff. If Season 9 had not paid off in the way that it did last year, I'd be quite confident in saying that we wouldn't be talking about the Division 3 right now. So. What's up, Zondak? People keep saying they told me. People forget that I've been a Division 3 supporter all along. I never said we weren't getting a Div 3. I've always been one of the biggest proponents Come on now. Take that I told you so to someone who says Division 2's a dead game. That's a pretty silly take at this point.
Warning. Reactor unstable.
Good work decrypting the protocols. You need to remove those controls to get the reactor back online.
System malfunctioning.
Alright.
System restored.
Tier 3 memento backpack.
Nice. Almost done. I need you to destroy whatever the hell that thing is called. You'll need to
That's kind of my thinking, Apollo. I mean, I think there's two options for the season of Div 3. It's either going to be winter, or they're going to have dynamic seasons. I'm pretty sure they know at this point, like, how requested. They're probably sick of hearing people wanting snow in Div 2 and all that. It's going to be in the winter, or at the very least it will have dynamic seasons so that it shifts throughout all four, you know, throughout the various updates. I think those are pretty much the only options.
System reactivated.
If they were to go for another summer, after the years of people asking for snow, there'd be a real stern conversation needing to be had there. What are we doing? We need this one.
Great work, Agent. Now you just need to start the reactor and keep any hostiles
Almost
from
90
knocking
people
it
in here.
offline
Thank you all so
or
much for being
killing
here. We are also only 4 likes away from 50 likes. You can say you're one of the first 50 if you hit it right now. Thank you all for being here. What do you think about this? I doubt PvP will be a part of Division 3. I think Harley and Redstorm will take that role entirely so they don't step on each other's in-game uniqueness. I very much hope you are wrong. No offense. I love PvP. I think PvP has a place in any Division project, considering it was kind of what the foundation of the franchise is built upon. And I actually think there is already kind of evidence to suggest it will be, given that in the announcement article for Division 3, PvP is specifically mentioned when Julian says, I still remember that original pitch for the game when it had, you know, they displayed PvP and all of that. I would not be surprised if the Division 3 that we get resembles that original Division 1 trailer in more than one way. You know, over the years, developers have talked about how that kind of vision for the game was a bit too ambitious for the technology a decade ago. But now, they could easily do it.
Good work, Agent. You saved the plant. Move
so-
to extraction point.
Maybe part of my statement here is that I like PvP and I want PvP to be there, but I do pretty firmly believe PvP will be in Division 3. If it's not, of course, I'm still going to play it, but that would bum me out quite a bit. What's up, Gamer Insanity? Like the Heartland story will lead us to Division 3. That would be interesting. I'll be curious, because we haven't really had in Division 2 any crossover yet or any real
Agent,
references
safe
to
route
that.
Hunters incoming.
So it will be interesting to see if there's any, you know, growing connections as we move forward. It's pretty impossible to predict what the story of Division 3 will be, given we still have a lot more story left to go in Division 2. We have no idea the kind of ground that the DLC is going to cover. From what they said yesterday, it sounds like we are going to get a Year 6 and maybe even beyond that, Year 7, Year 8. So I think it's pretty impossible to accurately give any sort of prediction on what the story will be. It's pretty much just the location and all that we can guess on. By the time we get to Division 3, Natalia Sokolova could be dead. She could be controlling the world. Like, you know. There's too many variables there.
An agent needs assistance.
Alright, we should probably take care of these guys behind us first. No, stay in it, stay in it. I hope we get that OG watch menu. Absolutely. I really hope we do. The only reason I'm a bit skeptical of that is that they probably, if they really wanted to, they could have put that in Div 2 and they didn't. Thylander said at one point that it had issues with, like, lighting or spatial things, if I'm remembering correctly. So I don't know, but I hope we do see it. Oh goodness. Missed me with that melee. Foxes and contractors in one drop. What kind of luck is that? That's next gen only PC. Oh, absolutely. So, well, it depends on by next gen if you mean the next generation that we don't know anything about right now, or the current generation. 1 million bajillion thousand% it won't be on the Xbox One, PS4. They've are massive. Even Avatar coming out this year is not going to be on Xbox One or PS4, so those are out of the question. It will be. It's kind of unfortunate because it does seem like the game's kind of lining up to release right how Division 2 did, which was right before the next generation. If it comes out in 2027, let's say March, even though it could be any time, that's probably like 6-8 months before the new consoles release if they follow the 7-year gap. I don't think these current consoles have any issues with like power or whatnot. In the same ways that the Xbox One and the PS4 did, like shortly after they were outdated, but I hope they future-proof the Division 3 in such a way that it can evolve beyond the consoles it launches on.
Torres is waiting for your signal. Shoot off a flare when you're ready to come home.
Got over 100 people in here now. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Spontaneous stream here. We're chatting about Division 3. Let me know your thoughts and theories and predictions on it in the chat. As long as there's a pom-pom beanie in Div 3, I'll be happy. Me too, Zach. Me too.
Torres is in position.
Call me crazy, still no watch color customization. What's up, Rabbit? Richard, what on earth, dude? Alright, Richard dropped a 20 gifted membership. Or gifted 20 memberships. Good lord. What a legend. How much time do I have? Oh, goodness. Oh, no. Okay. I see the ploy there, Richard. You want me to miss out on the extraction? Phoenix Steve. Rukin Kingdom. Rick Silverback. Dan. Helio.
You stabilized the power grid.
Matthew Phillip. John. Spartan. Dylan Sky. Arkham Edward. Supernova Brad. And Frost. 20 people. Be sure to drop Richard a thank you in the chat. And Richard, thank you so much, dude. I guess a stream cannot go by without a gifted membership drop from Richard. You're too kind, man. You know I appreciate you a ton. That's super generous. Thank you, thank you. Joe said, are you saying Division 3 won't be on Xbox? No, it totally will be. I'm saying it won't be on the Xbox One. Because in 4 years from now, I don't think not many new games will be releasing on there. It'll be on the Series X for sure. Series S and X.
Entering safe area.
Gotta go for you. Just does it and dips out. Have a great weekend, dude. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much. Like I said, all 20 of the new members, welcome. You get some cool badges and emotes for the channel now, and if you join our Discord server, link down below, you can link your YouTube account and get access to the Rogue Studios private channel on there. Goodness me. What do you hope of the Rogue stats in Division 3, considering your channel's name, of course? If they let you choose between SHD and Rogue, that would be quite cool. It'd be quite cool. Again, it's very hard to say if we'll get that opportunity or not, because that's very much tied to the story, and it's virtually impossible to predict right now where the story is going to go, because we have probably 2-3 more years of Division 2 story to go through. But at a conceptual level, having 2 different storylines would be really awesome. 100%. Goodness me. Richard drops a 20 bomb and then just dips. Would choosing Rogue open up a different game path that might be cool? I feel like maybe responsible isn't the right word, but the more realistic way they would probably do it is have you go through the whole campaign, and then as soon as you hit the end game, you get the choice between SHD and Rogue. That way they're not trying to create like 2 separate campaigns. That would probably be quite a lot, and all of that. But doing it at the end game means you could have 2 different bases, you could have 2 different sets of weekly projects, things like that. Like, yeah, that's certainly on the table, I think. To be fair, 2 separate campaigns would be neat. Oh, it would absolutely be neat. Certainly. I just don't know if that's probably, like, if it were up to me, that's not where I would choose to spend my resources. Does that make sense? Like, it would be really cool, but I would rather they get, like, the core of the game as solid as could be. Yeah. Like, things like movement, gunplay, the gear system. To me, those are, like, some of the most important things, because you now have going on 8 years of data from the Division 1 and 2 about what worked, what didn't, what people liked, what people didn't like. And that's really what I hope. Yeah, I hope that is like some of the most fun parts of the game. All right, do we run another? Do we do golden bonus? Let's do one more countdown. Let's do one more. Admin Nova in the house, or I should say, Moderator Nova. What's up, my guy? Splinter Shield in the house as well. How's it going, man? Dude, Division 3. Did you hear? Did you hear? I mean, not that many people were talking about it yesterday. It's a joke, by the way. It was trending on Twitter. There were a lot of people talking about it. You heard? Oh, well, good stuff. Come on, Corleone, let's get it going. Excited for Div 3, glad to hear it, Loki. I am as well. David, what's going on? 2027, baby. That's what I'm thinking as well. I think 2027 is pretty solid. Even though I said in my video they can take, as long as they want or need to get it right. They're putting Massive puts out games pretty fast. They made Division 2 in under 3 years, which I don't think was necessarily the best call, and I think that was more a Ubisoft decision than a them decision. But Star Wars, they started... I think they started full production right as the pandemic was happening, which obviously set back a lot of game productions. But they're going to get that thing out by next year. And 4 years factoring in the pandemic is pretty impressive for a game of that scale that's going to have multiple planets and everything. All right, this group is not doing it. So, I think 2027 is pretty realistic. And that's even, with me wanting to give them as much time as they need. I feel like that's that.
You have received an invite to another agent's group. You have joined.
Depends on the engine. If they're doing a bunch of stuff with new engine. Well, I think it's pretty much confirmed that they're going to use Snowdrop still, because that is Massive's creation as well, and they still have a dedicated team at their studio working on it. I don't think it's a matter, could they make the Division 3 in 2 years? Probably, but I don't want them to. And I don't think we want a game to launch where some parts are lacking, the end game isn't as fleshed out as it could be. I think they know that this game needs to launch with the most robust experience it can have. So it's not a matter of could they do it in a less amount of time. I'm sure they could. They're all really talented. Let's give them that extra year so that we don't have to spend an extra 2 or 3 years building up to where it should have been at launch, you know? That's what I'm thinking. What is... Okay. I was about to say, what's going on with these lobbies? But now we're going. Are you planning on playing Outlaws? For sure. I mean, I don't know if it'll be my type of game to, like, you know, play for dozens and dozens of hours, but absolutely I'm going to try it out. Pretty much any game the Massive puts out, I'm inclined to try out. For sure. And if the
Communication relay offline.
Ubisoft Creator Program allows me to get any of those early and make some videos on it, you bet I will. Talk about it on here. It'll be fun. I was about to say 20, and now it jumped up to 24. 125 people in here. Welcome in, folks.
Hyenas have taken over the power
Spontaneous
plant
stream chatting about the Division 3. Let me know your
Be
thoughts.
careful, Agent. Last thing we need is an RC bomb in a nuclear reactor.
Team player Nick, what's good with you, man?
We
How you
need to
doing?
restrict access and secure the nuclear waste.
I'm quite confident it won't, Steven.
Emergency lockdown.
Like I was just saying, Star Wars Outlaws is
Minutes lockdown.
arguably a more ambitious game for them because it's a new IP for them to be working on. They're doing multiple planets and all that, and they're putting it out next year. And that had a 4-year turnaround with the pandemic factored in. So I know people have their gripes with Massive, but they are a really talented studio that puts out quality stuff at a really consistent rate. So yeah. Oh.
Vital signs critical. System
Ooh, someone using ongoing directive. Love to see it.
system restored.
Roto, I think it will be set. My top two, if it's staying in the U.S., my top two picks I think are Chicago and Boston, both in the winter or with a rotating seasonal system. That said, and we were talking about this a few minutes ago about international locations. There's absolutely ways they can make that work in the story, despite what people like to say about that. Not saying it's likely, but I will say, just removing the lore aspect from it completely and just thinking about the physical location and the implications for that kind of a setting within the context of the Division, I think Tokyo would be darn cool. Again, I'm not saying there's really any reason we would ever go there, but
Protect the engineer.
Tokyo, especially like in the winter with the Division world, you know, themes and all that, would be pretty darn cool, I think. Yeah, I think if it's staying in the U.S., Chicago and Boston are my top two picks. I've seen a lot of people say they want it to be New York again and just give us more districts, and I'm like, no, let's go somewhere new. I love New York as much as everybody else, but there's more to the world than just New York. But I do think that I think it's important for them to kind of reclaim what everyone loved about the Division 1's environment and atmosphere, and a place like Boston or Chicago can absolutely do that without just being New York for a third time. That's kind of my thoughts on it. Paris, Texas. or London. I forget what state it's in. There's a town somewhere called London. We'll go there. They need to restore some of the Div 1 formula to the mix. Yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah. I think, honestly, and I'm going to say this when I make that wishlist video I was talking about earlier, I don't need the Division 3 to innovate like crazy, right? I don't need tons of new systems and blah, blah. If they want to do that post-launch, great. What I want from Division 3 at launch is the best of the Division 1 mixed with the best of the Division 2 and just a really solid Division formula. That's all I need. Because then you're going to have a really happy player base in that first year, and that means that then they can work on those yearly expansions, and then they can start adding some more ambitious ideas, some more things to innovate and expand what a Division game can offer. But all I need at launch is a really solid core Division experience mixed the best of 1 with 2. Really. I need this darn Sokolov chess piece, and this thing has been eluding me for weeks. I don't think I'm ever going to get it. Oh, I have to go for this named item up here. I hope they do crossplay for Div 3. I was saying a moment ago, not a doubt in my mind. It will have crossplay. Heartland is already getting that. It's an industry standard. Yeah, I'd bet you $1 million that Div 3 will have crossplay and cross progression. Not a question. Oh, Kajiro, tell me you're joking. Tell me you're joking. It got announced yesterday. I made 2 videos on it. You can go and check them out. The Division 3 is on the way. It was pretty hype. And so we're talking about it because that's what we're going to be talking about for the next 3-4 years here. Because I couldn't resist.
10 minutes to lockdown. Evacuate the facility.
Steven, my take on it is that every gear system the Division has had across the Division 1 and 2,
Target should be nearby.
and to my memory there's been 4? Oh, I'm teasing you, Kajiro. I'm totally teasing. Yeah, it's super exciting though. It's really exciting. The Division 1 had, when it launched, it had one, and it didn't quite get like a Gear 2.0, but I think they changed it significantly enough around like 1.6 to call that like another iteration of a gear system. Point being, I think every gear system, the 4 across the Division 1 and 2, have each had their pros and cons. There's things I like about them. There's things I don't like about them. And so again, same as I was saying a moment ago, let's look at those 4 gear systems, see what players liked, what they didn't like, what worked, what didn't work. Take the best elements out of all of those, put them into Div 3. Same with the PvE. A lot of people prefer Division 2 style of PvE. Let's take the majority of what worked there, put it into Div 3. A lot of people liked Division 1's PvP. Let's take what worked there, put it into Div 3. That's really all I could hope for from this game, is just to give us the most solid and enjoyable Division experience we've had yet.
You can access the waste area. Do me a favor and take a decontamination shower before you come back to me.
Frostbite is over at EA. Snowdrop is what Division 1 and 2 use, and while they have not said it, I will bet you, again, I'm doing a lot of bets here. I'll bet you $1 million it stays on there. Massive works on Snowdrop in-house. It's their engine. Ubisoft now uses Snowdrop on the majority of their games. Snowdrop is what Ubisoft uses. Like, that's just it's their thing. So it'll stay with Snowdrop. I guess we're just soloing the tower here. Where is this? Oh, there's nothing there. No, you're good, Colin. It's a valid question. A lot of people have been wondering about the engine and everything. And that's the thing. There's a lot we don't know, right? At this point, all we know, really, is that the game is happening. That's all we know. If anyone says they know more about it than that, then they're lying. So anything that I say beyond that is just my best educated guess based off of everything we know. I like to think I know a good amount, but I'm not clairvoyant. I don't know everything, so just keep that in mind. I guess we are just going to solo this whole thing. Oh no, there's someone over there. Let's go.
Target neutralized. High risk target detected.
You know, verse, never say never. That's what I'll say to that. Who's going to preview Year 5 Season 2 of Daria? I would imagine it'll be Yannick. Which will be exciting because we have not seen Yannick in a year since Season 10's real stream. So that it was another piece of news that I did want to talk about. They did announce yesterday as well, or he announced it, that sadly, everyone's beloved Morten Ryberg is no longer on the Division 2, or as of September 30th, he no longer will be. He's moving on to a completely different industry. Obviously wish him the very best in whatever he wants to do. He's been an incredibly positive influence, I would say, on our game community, undoubtedly. From what I saw, a lot of pretty much any developer working on the game really admired and liked him. And of course, you know, he was always super nice to our community here, jumping into the streams, answered questions and all that. And he let me interview him. So, really upstanding guy. I think we will all miss his contributions to the division, but yeah. He will no longer be on the game.
Evacuate the facility. 5 minutes.
So yeah, long-winded way of saying I think Yannick will be on the reveal stream. At least I hope so. Like I said, we haven't seen Yannick in quite a while. Dang, they did the main objective while I was doing cooling tower.
Torres is waiting for your signal. Shoot off a flare when you're ready to come home.
Does anyone know when the next season starts? Yes, Andrew. I mean, they still haven't put out a tweet about it. I'm thinking we'll get that Monday, but it should be October 3rd. You can see right here, Season 1 ends in a week and 3 days, so we are getting close to Season 2.
An agent is back online.
Thoughts on Division 3 taking place in Seattle? I'd love it. Listen, I really don't care all that much. As long as it's a new place, I don't want them to redo New York like some people do. As long as it's a new place, and as long as it either is in the winter or has a rotating season system so we get snow, put me anywhere. I really don't care. So Seattle will be sick. Chicago and Boston are probably my top 2 picks, but like I said, I'm not set on that. Yeah. But Seattle, I was saying earlier, was one of the final contenders for the Division 2, the location for that. So certainly there's a reason to believe they could go back to that in the future.
Agent, stay frosty. Hunters incoming.
I strongly suspect that there'll be multiple locations for Div 3. You think at launch, Splinter, or with yearly expansions? If they do multiple at launch, that would be quite something. Both. Well, dang. You know what? I respect that take, and I hope you're right. That would be pretty cool. And we got Morton in the chat. Seattle, we would always have rain then. True. But Seattle can get snowy sometimes. You know, you could just say there's an extended winter. What's going on, Morton? We were just talking about you. Hope your Friday is going well. And Andrew coming in with the $5 donation, Division 3. That's it. That's all you need to say. Andrew, thank you so much for your generosity, man. Really appreciate that. Gotcha, Morton. Gotcha. Listen, you better tune back in. Doesn't have to be my stream. You better tune back into some streams when the DLC launches next year.
When you're ready, send up a flare to Torres.
I want to see the I want to see the reactions. hoping transfer progression. I know a lot of people like that concept in these types of games. I'm actually the opposite. I very much like the idea of a clean slate. I think trying to import old gear and talents and all that really limits what they could do as far as, you know, just creating a better experience than what we currently have. So if they want to make the physical characters transfer over and you can play as your same agent, that would be cool. But I'm hoping the gear is a clean slate. I don't want any of the baggage from Division 2. And that's not even saying, you know, that's not even in a negative connotation. It's just like, when you create a new game, you want to have complete freedom to, like I said, talk about the talents and all that stuff, so. That in Seasons 2.0, I worked too hard for that not to pay attention. Good to hear it.
Let's get you home.
Where's my 100th like trophy? Did you hit 100? It says 99 on my screen, but I'll take your word for it. Jack and Black, you're getting the trophy, man. Thank you for being the 100th like. Appreciate almost 150 of you being in here as well. Hope everyone's having a great Friday. And we're chatting about Division 3. What's up, Hermes? What do you think the implications are that they announced Division 3 in such a roundabout way? Do you think it was an oversight in the article that got included? Definitely not an oversight. Those things are done very meticulously. To be honest, I don't fully know. Obviously, the traditional method of announcing something like that is at a big presentation, Division Day, E3, one of those types of deals. So honestly, I don't fully know what prompted them to do that, but one thing I do know, and I hope this doesn't come out the wrong way, because I don't mean it, negatively, but 3 years ago, when we know that they switched over to, the old team switched over to Star Wars, I think myself and a lot of Division players felt, and I don't think it was necessarily intentional, but we just felt kind of abandoned, because it had been like a month or two without a lot of communication about what was coming next, and then all of a sudden they just dropped the news, Star Wars, a lot of these people are working on it. There wasn't a really chance for us to say goodbye, for the devs to say goodbye. It just seemed like we're moving on, right? And again, I don't think that was necessarily anyone's intention to alienate anybody. It just kind of felt that way. And so, with the announcement yesterday, I honestly did get kind of a vibe that it was Ubisoft's way, or Massive's way, of saying, we hear you. And we're sorry about that, because, in a sense, and again, this isn't to say anything negative about Star Wars, because I'm sure that's going to be a great game, they kind of undercut Star Wars a little bit by saying, we're already looking ahead to the next thing. Julian, once Star Wars is out, he's gone. He's going back to Division, which we love. We're happy about that. But again, for a brand like Star Wars, it's almost like them saying we value the Division just as much, or maybe even more, as Star Wars. And to me, that was very reassuring. And I appreciated that, given the context of how they transitioned away from Division back in 2020. So I know that was really long-winded, but I liked that element of the announcement, that they said, we don't care that we're doing it before Star Wars comes out or not at any big event. We're just going to come out and commit that we're doing Division 3 and we're building this universe even better. So, yeah. That is an insanely long time in one industry, Borden. So, I hope you have a lot of fun on your next endeavor, wherever that may be. One thing I didn't know that I learned this morning, if you guys didn't see over on Massive's channel, they posted a very short interview with Julian about the news about Division 3 and all that. There was no big new information, otherwise I would have made a video on it. But he said that he's been with Ubisoft for 25 years, which I did not know. That's kind of insane that he's been around Ubisoft for 25 years. And so the fact that that's all culminating in him becoming the executive producer of the Division, that's pretty cool. And I'm excited to see what his contributions in that role means for the, you know, consistency and solidification of the brand, like they said in the article. All right, enough countdown. Is it golden bullet time? I think it's golden bullet time.
I think we're having a little crisis in crisis management, aren't we?
Thank you, Scott. You know I will. All right, let's reset these points. Why is Heartland taking so long? Because I want to make it the best it can be. We'll have more to talk about with Heartland in the future. But that is, I would say, a pretty big silver lining of this whole Division 3 thing is that even though Division 3 is likely, like we talked about, 4 years out, we still have a lot of Division content in the meantime to enjoy. Division 2's DLC and season revamp next year. From the article's wording, it sounds like we're getting probably a year 6 and whatnot, maybe even after that. Heartland is going to bring us years of content. So, like, we have a lot of stuff, even though Division 3 is, I think at this point, what everyone is most excited for, and it's a long time away, we have a lot of good Division stuff coming in the meantime. So, you know, it's taken a long time for us to build up to this point, but now that we see the plan for the next 4 or 5 years, it's pretty exciting. Now that you got a fancy schmancy PC, you're going to pick up D3 on Xbox or PC? Xbox. I'll be honest with you, if I didn't need my PC to do, you know, the work I do on here, I wouldn't have one. I've already had a lot of quarrels with this thing trying to get it set up. That's not to say it's not a great machine, and I really love the flow it's allowed me to have. As someone who is not like the most technically inclined person, God, it's kind of annoying. I like the consistency and the ease of use of consoles. But if it has crossplay, then I could totally pick it up on both and, you know, switch over when I want to. Oh no, not the whiffed shots. Yeah, who's got the golden bullet for me? Hello? Just gonna keep walking away? This ad is doing some gymnastics. That was like 3 climbs in a roll. Yeah, I know you're back there. I do have to pay a little bit more attention in this than I did in Countdown. And as per usual, folks, if I miss any chats, feel free to resend them. It's not intentional. Oh no! Well, that's tough.
Agent incapacitated.
Imagine the E3 trailer is actually going to be real now. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they've gotten new ideas over the last 7 years that they want to incorporate, but yeah, it would not surprise me if a good chunk of that comes true. And there's, I'll have to try and find the video. Bruce, who was a game designer on Div 2, and he now is a senior game designer on Outlaws, he put out a tweet that I covered in a video where he was saying that the original pitch that they tried to make happen for the Division back then just didn't work out because of the tech, because of regulations from Microsoft and Sony. But he said, and this was like 3 years ago, he's like, we could pretty much do that now with everything that's changed. And so, you know, 6 years later when Division 3 does come out, we'll see what they come up with. I have a lot of faith in Division 3. I do, and we'll talk about that plenty more in upcoming videos and all that.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
Okay, alright, alright. Alright.
Serious trauma detected.
Can you shoot each other? Why you just gotta shoot me? What did I do? Also, where's the friendlies at? Oh, there. Are you coming to get me? Yes, sir, you are. This guy is MVP right here. Spawn camping enemies is cringe. Come on, Mav. It's about the efficiency. It's about the efficiency. That D3 or D1 E3 trailer turned 10 years in June. I know. That's, yeah. It is insane that the Division concept, or that trailer, is over a decade old. It's really insane. My thoughts is keep PvP out of this game. Nah, dude, nah, nah. You don't touch my PvP. I know it's a thing some people want. I just don't. I don't think it's the move. I don't. Am I biased? Absolutely. But I don't. And Julian says in that article, he says the original concept for the Division was PvP at its core. It was. You can say it wasn't all you want, but it was. I'm not saying it's shifted. It's totally shifted more away from that over time, but if they're trying to kind of reclaim the essence of the Division in this third game, then PvP's got to be there.
Supply room access unlocked. Detected. Nearby location guarded by hostiles.
And the you're getting Heartland for PvP? Well, you got Division 1 and 2 for PvE, then let's take PvE at a Div 3. Of course, I'm kidding, but, you know. The argument people always say that PvP has done nothing but hinder the Division games, then tell me why it's been present in every Division game we've gotten. Division 1, Division 2, Heartland, Resurgence all have PvP. If it were that detrimental towards the Division's success, they would have cut it a long time ago. PvP is far more popular and attractive to the player base than I think a lot of people like to admit. Who is this? Why do we have another boss in here? Not complaining.
We did it. Oh, you still have that beer lady.
What's up, Libertarian? How you doing, man? Will Division 3 be first person? It better not be. I think there is a... I won't say zero. There's a very, very, very small chance it'd be first person. Division, at this point, is a very well-defined third-person franchise, so... making it first person would, in my opinion, make it not the Division. That would honestly maybe be one of the few things that would keep me from really loving Div 3 or even playing it that much, to be honest. All right. Well, Kojiro, I think that's just because they haven't done it right yet. You know? I think there are many ways it could be improved from what we saw in the Division 1 and 2. And as I've said about everything else, Division 3, in my opinion, should be about taking on what the Division 1 and 2 did best and putting them together. And if you do that, I think you can balance PvE and PvP quite well. If they take in a lot of the suggestions they've gotten over the years, all the feedback they've gotten. Division 3 without PvP, while I would still play it and probably like it a lot,
The golden bullet.
it wouldn't... I don't want to be too harsh. I won't say it wouldn't be Division. It just wouldn't, you know... It would easily become my least favorite Division game. Even if it had the best movement and gunplay and everything. But obviously that's just me. I love PvP. I know a lot of people don't care for it. That's fine, but... Sorry, Mav, what were you saying about spawn camping? Kidding. Did Morton say he's head out? Let me scroll up. There's too many things in the chat. Got to enjoy and catch you another day. Morton, have a fantastic weekend. And yes, hopefully see you soon. Don't be a stranger. I'll leave it at that.
Control point secured. Well done.
Reinforcements incoming. Incoming hostiles detected.
Oh, me too, Swag. For better or worse, they've got me. There's... I foresee very few things that could happen with the Division or in my life that would make me stop playing this franchise. But I sincerely do believe, and I'm not saying this out of hype or out of whatever, I do sincerely believe that there are a lot of elements working in Division 3's favor to give it a better shot at being that Ultimate Division experience compared to the Division 2 specifically. The Division 1, obviously, it was the original. It's had its own development cycle and all that. And I do want to do a separate video on this, so maybe I won't fully get into it here, but unlike Division 2, Massive isn't going to have to make Division 3 while they're concurrently supporting and still updating another title. They also, I'm presuming, aren't going to have to make it under such a strict timeline, whereas Ubisoft wanted the Division 2 out 3 years after the first game. And so they made the game in just under 3 years, which is insane for how much we got. They don't have that rush. They don't have as many other obligations. I think and really do hope that they are going to have the time and everything to get it right, to do it what they want to do. Doesn't mean their design decisions are going to be perfect or necessarily what we want, but it's going to be the best version of what they are intending it to be. I do think.
Hostile completed. The golden bullet. Supply room access unlocked.
Luis, you were incredibly welcome. Thank you so much for watching it all. Thank you, thank you. There's a lot more to come, clearly, since Division 3 is now 4 years out. I guess I'm not retiring anytime soon. How do you activate the Golden Bullet event? You go into your Seasons menu here. You go to Golden Bullet right here. And then you, on controller, you click X at the bottom to activate. Deactivate, it'll tell you whatever button down there you need to click for the input you're using. Yeah, Richard, welcome back, Richard. I knew you couldn't stay away for long. I'm kidding. We were talking about that a minute ago that, yeah, I think technology-wise and concept-wise, there's a lot of reasons for why we could see elements from that original trailer.
Agent received a golden bullet.
And I think they know at this point, like, even though we've waited so long for Division 3, one of the benefits to that wait is that there's been a lot of time to analyze and everything to look at what players liked and didn't like from Division 2. And I think one of the things they know going in is that people don't want a ton of change. They want, you know, I will say a lot of what Division 1 was, still with some of the improvements we've gotten over the years, but they want that experience heightened. And I think Division 3 can offer that, if done right. It's 2 years out? I hope not. I hope not. If it's 2 years out, I will sincerely be concerned about the quality of the product. Could they do it in 2 years? Probably. But I want them to take the time to make it the best it can be. Rushing it out after we've waited this long, with all the potential the game has, is not the move, I don't think. How can I get the Eagle Bear? You can get it either in the Dark Hours raid, or from the Dark Zone, but the Dark Zone has a very small drop chance. But that is the more solo-friendly option, considering raids are 8 players, so those are the two places. What is your best wishes for features in the Division 3? I do think that a choice between Rogue and SHD, like once you hit the end game, would be really cool. I'll tell you guys what. I do have kind of an outlandish idea. I'm not saying I've thought through all of the factors of it. There's probably many reasons why it wouldn't be the best idea, or all of that. But at a conceptual level, and from a balance point, even talking in PvE, I know a lot of people always think that balance just relates to PvP, but there is a balance that you want to strike in PvE to make it fun and engaging and all that. Think about this. On gear, what if they reduced, you know, the concept has always been that there's these 3 main categories, right? Damage, armor, and skill tier, or skill power, whatever you want to call it. What if, in Division 3, there was only damage and skill stuff? In my opinion, armor has always been the most problematic element to balance, whether it is in PvP or PvE. If you let players get immensely tanky and still get damage from various talents or whatever, I think that skews the balance far more than anything else we've ever seen. And so what if, I'm not saying they should remove the armor fantasy altogether, but what if they put a lot of the armor related things into skills, where they had new skills that were purely related to armor stuff, like you could put on extra plating, or there's some form of like smart cover that gives you extra armor. And in order to make an armor build, you had to spec into skill stuff and then use those more defensive and armor-based skills. That way, in PvP, you can keep the time to kill down and probably balance things a lot better. And in PvE, you don't have to worry about trying to make these armor talents that are really engaging and giving players damage, because that's how you get people cheesing stuff, even like what I'm doing right now. At this point in the game, the power creep has gone so far that I can just solo stuff on heroic like this and not stress that much. I mean, obviously I still go down, but that's because I play really aggressive. Again, I'm not saying that would work. I haven't thought through that all the way, but I do think the idea of having gear revolve primarily just around damage and skill stuff, and bundling armor, abilities, and power into skills could be interesting. And then if you want to have certain gear be able to give you damage mitigation and whatnot, sure, go for that. But then everybody has a relatively similar amount of health. Maybe some have more mitigation than others, but then people will have skills that give you more armor, more whatever. Like I said, that's a very out there idea. I'm sure there's holes you could poke in it, but who knows.
Agent in need of backup.
Would you prefer the Div 1 concept where it's mainly just health and damage threshold? Yes, absolutely. As far as like how gear and that stuff is handled, I much prefer the Division 1 stuff to Div 2. Because the problem with Div 2 is that how do you say it? Like, the health amounts that we have in Div 2 are negligible. Like, health means nothing in Div 2. And I think it's just silly to have an armor and health system if you're not actually making the two of those valuable. It's really, they just transferred, you know, what health was in Div 1 to what armor is in Div 2, and health is just nothing. It doesn't matter at all. So, that's why I think it's better to just go back to health, put that stuff more into skills, all of that. Rahul coming in with the donation. Now on my screen, in that currency, it says 1,000. I know it's not that. I know it's converting to something, but thank you so much for your generosity, man. Been an ardent follower of your channel. Love the content. Cheers. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. That is incredibly kind of you. There's honestly been a lot of love from around the whole community ever since the Division 3 thing. I mean, there always is, but I had someone say, and I don't say this to gloat or whatever, I'm not saying I even believe it, but somebody was like, I think you were a real influence in them deciding to do Division 3, which, again, I don't believe at all, but the fact that someone thinks that is kind of cool, to think that they think I'm that influential to the Division. So that's a long way of saying I appreciate how kind you all are to me, always. And thank you, Rahul, for that. Very kind of you, man. There we go.
Stay away from now on.
Supply room access unlocked.
You're bringing back instant medkits, right? I would say yes and no. What's the build? This is the build. Yes, I would bring back I wouldn't bring back the armor kit, if that's the question. I do think there is a middle ground between what Division 1 had and what might be a more balanced iteration. I think there would need to be a more defined animation for popping the heal. Like actually raising your other arm up and like injecting yourself with some sort of stimulant or whatever, you know, the lore explanation is. Give the instant heal like a 1 second animation. But you can still move, you can still just click it, and your agent will do it, and then you're healed up. But I think giving it that 1 second thing would make things flow a lot better. It would make PvP a bit less cheesy. A lot of that. So that's kind of what I think as far as that would probably be a more balanced implementation. What you were saying with armor and skills being tied, somehow you want more MMO type gameplay features? Like keeping on buffs or skills? I guess I don't fully know what you mean. I just think as far as a gear and RPG system goes, a way they could achieve better balance within both PvE and PvP is by turning a lot of what armor is now into skill stuff and adding more and new skills that are defensive based. I just think that would be a better way to do it, but like I said, that I haven't fully thought that out, so. It's in a different currency. If that were a $1,000 donation, I'd be flipping out, but still incredibly generous of Rahul. I did a double take at first. So I was like, no.
Golden bullet complete.
Roddy coming in with the $20 super sticker. OP. That's what that freaking donation is, dude. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. People are too kind. I guess everyone's just buzzed up from Division 3, huh? Roddy, thank you for your generosity, man. Truly appreciate that. No message either. Hope you're having a good Friday, and I hope you're excited for Division 3.
Receive. Golden bullet. Reinforcements.
Primate's in here as well, coming in with the 15-month membership message. Thank you for being around for so long, man. You know, I appreciate you. Division 3, baby! Indeed, indeed. I don't think I saw a comment from yesterday, man. What are you thinking about Div 3? For me, said, if they made a game that wasn't in extraction or looter genre, what would you want them to explore? I think, and I know some friends of mine, like Bond, I know, want this to be Division 3, which I hope it's not. But I do think it would be really cool to see eventually a Division game kind of in the style of like Last of Us, where it's a more story-focused experience. I think that could be a really great spin-off. That kind of style where it's third person, but it's a little bit more grounded, a little bit more realistic. There's not gear and stuff. Like I said, I wouldn't want that to be Division 3. Division 3, or the mainline series, should always be looter shooters, in my opinion. RPG. But a story spin-off like that, I think it'd be really cool to see. King, what's going on, man? How you doing, dude? Shit's even got Marco hype. I know. Marco made a video on Division. Like, what world are we in? And then, oh, I hope I don't say her name wrong. It's either Sagat or Sagat, I think. Coming in with the 20 as well. You guys are too kind. Thank you so much, dude. I'm hoping Julian doesn't tinker with this. Well, I'm sorry to say, I think that's already going to happen. They made it pretty clear that Julian is kind of going to directly oversee everything with Div 3. That aside, though, thank you so much for your generosity. Truly appreciate it. You guys are too kind. Yeah, I'm glad you agree, Snipe. I think it would be cool to see. I'm so hoping they venture into story with the Rogue AI. Yeah, for sure. Being able to choose your faction and or your AI in Div 3 would be really cool. Whether it's for just the end game or even the whole story. According to his position, he's the new PR guy. I wouldn't say PR. He's going to be overseeing the entire brand and basically being the bottom line for what decisions get made and what direction the brand goes in, overseeing the quality of the productions. They released an interview, like I said this morning, with Massive. With him, it was only like 2 minutes long. But he says in that he will be directly overseeing Division 3's development. So, I personally like Julian a lot. Have I necessarily agreed with every direction he's taken or what they did with Division 2? No. But you can still respect and like someone for the work they've done and not agree with everything they've done. I think Julian is a really good person to be in this role to kind of guide us to the future of the Division. Another one.
Access unlocked.
Big question is pre-order the game. I think we gotta wait a few years to really determine that. All we know right now is that it exists. Give me a reveal trailer. Give me something, right? All right, what kind of challenges do we need to get done here? Got them all now. Stronghold on hard, main mission on challenging, invaded on hard. So if we do a main mission on challenging, we get those 2 stars automatically. Let's do that. What's a good main mission? You know what I haven't done in a minute? Camp White Oak, my freaking favorite main mission. Let's do that. Haven't been out here in a hot minute. Do you think we'll get a new Unreal 5 or updated Snowdrop? We were talking about this earlier, Snowdrop 100%. From what I've heard, and this is not official, this is what I was told behind the scenes, the updated version of Snowdrop that they're using for Avatar and Star Wars is as powerful as Unreal 5. And Massive is the one who made Snowdrop, and they still actively have a development team on it in-house. They're absolutely going to use Snowdrop. I'd be willing to bet a lot on that. Primate coming in with a 20 as well. Goodness me, people. You all are continually too generous. As soon as I saw your post regarding Div 3, my reaction on Scott was the excitement for you. Oh, well, that's very, very sweet of you to say, man. That's very nice of you to say. It's just, you know, I obviously, yes, have been covering this game or this franchise for a long time. It's continually kind of hard for me to believe where I'm at now, considering I started out just like watching, you know, other big creators doing stuff on Div 1, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try that someday. And now here we are. But yeah, I'm just excited for everybody, because everybody here loves The Division, and I think we're all going to enjoy The Division 3. So thank you for your kind words. And again, thank you for all of the collaboration we've had over the past, what, year, 2 years now? And thanks for your generosity, man. Appreciate it.
Copy that, Unit 1 Leader. Godspeed.
Intercepting Black Tusk communication.
Are you playing on PC? I am on Xbox Series X.
Large group of hostiles at the northwestern perimeter.
They're going for the helipad. Get in front of them and fuck up their day. Ghostlight, we need immediate extraction.
Ghostlight, en route. ETA 20 mics.
That's a good prediction, King. It'd probably be pretty sweet. Oh, I see some good comments in there. Let me clear this section, and then we'll read them. Peek out, man. Oh, I was looking way off. All right. What are your predictions for the new gear type? You know, I have a video that will either come out tomorrow or early next week. I'm not sure yet. That gives a prediction for that, so I'm not going to spoil it. I'm sorry. I'm going to say watch that video, because I think it's a good theory. The honest answer is there's like a million different, not a million. There's a few different things it could be. But I give out what I think is a pretty solid idea in that video. Like I said, that's coming soon. What do you hate most? Oh my goodness. Feature systems gameplay in The Division 2 and hope not to come to Div 3. Well, I don't hate anything. I mean, sure, I probably do. Hate's probably not the word I like to use, because I love The Division. But systems I wouldn't want to see in Div 3. I think it's less about systems I don't want to see and just things I want to see refined or changed. Because obviously I want there to be a gear system, but I don't want it to be exactly like Gear 2.0, because I have issues with Gear 2.0. I want to see them take another crack at the armor health system. Probably move away from armor kits and the timed heal and all that. Weapons, I hope, have more recoil again, kind of back how they did in Division 1. I think that was a big loss, to kind of just remove the need to really control your gun that much. So, you know, things like that. But I don't hate anything from Division. At least I don't like to think of it in that way. We'll put it like that.
Galveston, you've got an SHG element approaching your position.
Copy that. We gotta move, Chief. Are you talking?
Just got a second because I got to get on the game.
Gather your shit and
Pump for
let's
Div
go.
3? Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
This is
It's very
Galveston.
exciting indeed.
Chicken Hawk is on the move. Finally.
Chicken Hawk, fuck yourself. Where are we going?
Into the tunnel, Chief.
You must be cutting through the bunker. There's men just ahead. Should still be able to catch them.
If you had a golden bullet on the minigun, that'd probably be pretty insane. I don't know how that one guy got out. That was a demon. Primate, have a fantastic weekend, dude. Again, thank you for your generosity and your contributions to our community here. Appreciate you. I think LA would be a great map for the next phase. It would be cool, although then there probably wouldn't be snow, and I think there's got to be snow. Or at least a seasonal rotation system so that we get a flavor of each one.
Door sealed.
The shield breaking disorder mechanic. Hot take. Alright, this is actually a hot take. I don't know how many are going to agree with this. I don't want the half shield to come back in Div 3. I appreciate that it's kind of been fun to use. I've used it myself, but man, is it just kind of remove, I'd say, a lot about what makes Division. Honestly, the breaking mechanic moved some people away from it, but before they added that in Season 9, man, the half shield was just not fun. I think in PvE or PvP. It was everywhere, made you not really think about cover that much at all. I just wasn't a fan. So I'm sure that's a hot take. I'm sure some people are going to be like, what are you saying? But that's what I think about it.
This is JTF Unit 1 leader. We're pinned down, taking heavy losses. Is the helipad locked down? Negative! We can't break through! Shit. We can't let Ellis get away.
I've seen a few people say vehicles. I don't know. It would be a big change for Division, which is obviously never... It's always been a very grounded game. So I don't know how I'd feel about vehicles. Honestly, my biggest reservation to that is that it would probably very drastically make them change how they think about constructing the world. Because if you have to accommodate for vehicles being able to move through environments, then you have to very differently consider... I honestly just don't think it would work unless they make that like the big focus of the game, because the game is so tailored towards cover. All of these, like even in this road right here, all of these things are very meticulously placed to give you a solid gameplay experience where you can take cover compared to where the enemies are going to spawn, all that stuff. If they're having to think about vehicles moving through a space, that just fundamentally changes so much of the Division. Not saying it couldn't work. I just wonder if it might be too drastic for this franchise. But what they could do is build it into certain missions. Like, just have it in a specific main mission where in this segment you hop into a truck and it's going and you get to shoot it out of it or something. They could totally do that. But to give you vehicles out in the open world would kind of be a different ball game.
Still overtake Ellis. Unit 1 leader, do you have eyes on Ellis?
Appreciate you, King.
Unit 1 leader, do you copy?
Have a great weekend, dude.
Shit.
And we'll talk soon indeed. Alright, here's another hot take, because I just saw what Jack and Black said. I expect even less people to agree with this. I'm not a big fan of fast travel. I'll say it right there. I'm not against fast travel being in, like, certain locations for you to be able to, like, for example, the Dark Zone entrance, right? If that's across the map from where your base of operations is. But I don't just think this about Division, but I do think that fast travel kind of removes some of the coolness of the world if you don't feel like you actually have to traverse around it to get to where you want to go. So I would not be opposed to seeing a Division game where they, or, you know, specifically one of these mainline Division games where they don't do fast travel and you have to actually move out from the base of operations, go to where you want to go. Like I said, they could put specific ones around the map, like if you want to just get to the Dark Zone, you could do that. But I wouldn't be opposed to them limiting fast travel more than we've seen before. And then they could even build that into the experience where the further out you go, the more dangerous it gets, the better loot there is because you're further away from the JTF or whatever. Look at this guy. Big invisible man, huh? Goodness me.
We're almost to you. You should have eyes on us in a minute here.
Yeah, but the Division's worlds don't suck. That's, you know, that's kind of its bread and butter.
We're gonna lose him.
Like I said, I don't expect many people to agree with that. That's just kind of a personal thing of mine. I'm not the biggest fan of fast travel. Specifically in open world games like that. I'd be down with that too, Hermes. That could be cool. Or just do it, or just make it so that the fast travel points are a little bit less. Like in Division 2 right now in the open world, there are so many places you can fast travel to. If they just limited it to the base of operations and safe houses and things like that instead of like every main mission, that could also create a bit more of an immersive experience. But again, I think that's pretty unlikely for them to do. They'll probably keep it how it's been in the first two. How would you matchmake without fast travel? Well, that's what I'm saying. They don't need to completely remove it. If you join a group and someone else is at a different location, you can still port to them. I'm just saying how it is currently in Division 2, where you can go to every main mission and every sale and every, like, there's nowhere you can't get to within like 2 minutes. And I think that's a bit of a shame because it promotes less of you actually going through the open world and doing that.
Get him out of here! You're not coming? This is the job, Chief.
You think they'll add the mechanics from Division Heartland to Division 3? I do not. I think Heartland is very clearly its own thing, and they don't want every Division game to feel the same because then what reason is there to play both of them, right? They want all of these different projects to offer you different experiences so that there's a reason you'd want to go and play each one. All right, listen, people, listen. I said it was a hot take. I don't think they're gonna take away fast travel. I was just saying that's a personal thing of mine. You can calm down. It's all right.
Getting Ellis was always a long shot.
Here we go.
Black Tusk specializes in dealing with situations like this. But the site is under our control. We didn't give the enemy time to clean up after themselves.
If they add takedowns and stealth takedowns like Splinter Cell, what do you think about that? I'd be open to see what their take on it would be. They were going to do that in the original Division. But I would only want it if there's like an actual well thought out system there, you know? And that's kind of what Thylander said years ago about why they didn't really put full melee weapons into Div 2 was because they just didn't actually have like a compelling gameplay system to go with it. And you kind of need that, otherwise you're just adding it for the sake of it and then they just go underused. That's a big agree, Hermes. I big agree with that. Accommodations in Div 1 were like superior in pretty much every way. Very much agree there. All right. How are we looking in here now? 48 stars. How to use like specialization weapons. I'll be honest, that is one area that I really cannot come to a decision about what I would prefer. Obviously, Division 1 had ults. Division 2 had specializations. At a conceptual level, I like the idea of having a power weapon more than just popping some ult that gives you a bunch of stats. But very clearly, it didn't work out that well in Div 2. So I don't know if it's worth them taking another crack at something like specialization weapons. I don't know if it's better to try and go back to ults, even though I think those were quite unbalanced. And I wasn't the biggest fan of them. Or maybe they just don't do something like that. I don't know. That's honestly one area that I can't fully decide on. What control point should I do? This one's fun. Need companions on the new one. That would be interesting if they added like a, you know, companion dog system or something like that. Addy Doc, I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you so much for tuning in to the channel. I'm glad you're enjoying the Division. And I hope you continue to.
Hostile control point detected. Golden bullet being assembled by hostile. Proceed. Golden bullet.
Specialization separate the game from Destiny. Well, here's the thing. The actual like skill tree part of it, I saw Kajiro say that. I want there to be skill trees, like some combination of the talent board we had in Div 1 and like the specialization trees in Div 2. Absolutely, I want that. But as far as the actual power weapon, or you know, ults and specialization weapons fill the same role in the Division 1 and 2. They're your ultimate ability, right? Or that's basically what they were called in Div 1. You get what I'm saying. They're your super, to do a Destiny 2 comparison. And I don't know which of those two worked better. Well, clearly more people liked ults. I just think they were unbalanced, specifically in PvP. But I don't know which one of those two is better to pursue in Div 3, or if they do a different idea, or they do nothing at all. But the actual skill tree part of it, I absolutely do want to see. Like, baked into your progression. Or, what they could do is have this big skill tree, and you can choose, like, hopefully they would do it kind of to how they said they were going to do the immune again. How they were going to do the specialization revamp where you can't choose everything, because then they can make it more powerful and you actually have to choose which path you want to take. They could do it to where they have that, and certain paths take you to unlocking a cool specialization weapons, and certain paths take you to unlocking like a cool signature ability, and some lead you to nothing at all, but you get more important bonuses along the way. That could be cool too, where they kind of mix it all into one thing, and you get to choose which one you ultimately get at the end of it.
Control point secured. Well done.
What if they make the guns like Guns and Breakpoint, no rarity perks? I certainly hope they don't do that. That would go pretty far against what the Division is.
Reinforcements en route. Incoming hostiles detected.
At least the main line. Obviously, they can do spin-offs and whatever they want to do in there, but mainline Division are RPG games, looter shooters. They're on all sides of me. I cannot even see him there.
Agent requesting backup.
There we go.
Hostile completed by the golden bullet. Detected. Hostile supply online. Heavily armed.
Yep. Big agree with what Maverick said there. You think we're still going to continue with SHD levels or gear score in Div 3? Gear score is an interesting one because I don't know. It's a pretty easy way to add progression, but they removed it in Warlords, and I don't know if they'll go back to that or not.
Detecting additional hostile contact. Bullet being assembled by hostile. Incoming hostiles detected.
Spawn camp. There we go. Yeah, I know you would, Hermes. I have a feeling that's kind of a tough point of balancing for them because they very clearly split up the different archetypes and give them different stats and whatnot, but certainly possible, and it would be interesting to see what they could do with that. Am I trying to take Ampy's title for Spawn Camper? Hey, I'm not trying to step on any toes here. I just, you know, it's all about efficiency. That's what I said. What's going on, nobody? Happy Friday to you. Appreciate all 135 of you hanging around.
Access unlocked.
This has already been very fun. We're also only 5 likes away. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from 150 likes. If you haven't already and you want to support, that's a great way to do it. But I appreciate you spending your time here. What do you wish for the Division 3 story? More storytelling action or kind of having some plot twists in it? As far as like what the actual story will be, I said before, I think it's pretty impossible to predict because we have no idea how far we're going to go with the Division 2 story before Division 3 gets here. Will Natalia Sokolova still be around? Will, you know, whatever? I have no idea. But what I can definitively say is that I would much rather have storytelling in the style of what we've had in the last, what are we talking here? 4 seasons from season 9 to now. The actual like presentation and delivery of the story and the concepts of the story, in my opinion, have been like some of the most interesting stuff we've seen in the Division ever since it started. I've pretty famously said that I really didn't care for the Division 2's base campaign. It wasn't bad, but it just didn't really... I thought it was not very connected to itself the whole way through. You were kind of just dealing with different things as you went around the city. It didn't really have a tie-in to DC as the capital of the country. There wasn't a lot of government stuff in there, right? So wherever they go or whatever they do, I just hope that the presentation has as much intrigue and delivery execution as our current story has had from season 9 to now. All right. Run on down to the Riverside gas station. What mic am I using? Wolves, this is my old Yeti. What do they call it? Just the regular like blue Yeti USB mic. Yep, I agree, Mav. I agree. But to be honest, while I do think Division 1 story was better, I still don't think it was, like, that impactful as far as, like, an actual storyline. You know what I mean? The characters were better. The villains were better. It was better. It was more cohesive, but I still don't think compared to other franchises it was that great. Or even what the Division has done since with Warlords and in this current seasonal story. Like I said, that's kind of the quality I'm hoping to see when Division 3 comes around. Oh no, who shot him?
Reinforcements incoming.
That suicide bomber was just standing there, and then he just exploded on his own guys. I didn't even shoot him. Open world boss. Okay, alright, alright.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
You do good videos, keep them up. I will. Thank you so much for saying that. Appreciate it. Definitely going to be a lot of Division 3 videos before launch, considering we got probably 4 years to wait. That's oh, there's going to be a lot. If you know me, you know I like my speculation. That one is moving. I hope Calvin McManus plays a bigger role. If he's still around, that's the thing, is we don't know what the DLC is going to cover. He could die in the DLC. Like, we just don't know. What worries me is they might skip what they had planned to fix Div 2 if they're going to replace it anyways. Are you talking about for the DLC or stuff that's further out? Necro? Hey, thank you, Bogdan. Appreciate that. I do like my aggressive playstyle. Cannot lie. And honestly, it's going to sound weird. I hope Division 3 challenges me to not be able to play the way I do in this game. And that sounds counterintuitive, because obviously I like playing like this, but like I said, the power creep has gotten to such a point where there's not really that much challenge anymore unless I go to like Legendary or stuff, you know? I want my build to matter more. I want my build to unlock different playstyles, and I really hope that is kind of what Div 3 can capture a bit more than at least current day Div 2. You know, back when the game launched, it was obviously a bit different, but... When did Div 3 get announced? Yesterday, Dimmer. I got 2 videos of it up on the channel that you can go and check out.
Supply room access.
We are 24 hours out from the announcement. And we got about 4 years to go until it releases, so... Forget making video games just turned the Division franchise into a never-ending Netflix show. Season after season, written by Thomas Perry, directed by Ross and Thurber. Wow, that would be something. I am very excited for the movie. Do you think we will get a level cap when we get the new DLC? It's certainly possible, however, I don't think we will. They would have to be very bold or have some sort of plan in mind if they were going to invalidate our current gear. They would either need to let us upgrade it or whatever because they've introduced expertise, which is such a time investment based system. So I don't think we will get a level cap primarily because of that. Yeah. My answers are literally my thought, to be honest. Great minds think alike, Randy. That's what they say. I feel like the current power creep makes it hard for new returning players to catch up. I don't know if it's necessarily the power creep. I think stuff like expertise is probably more daunting towards that. With stuff like Countdown existing, you can jump in and get like a pretty solid endgame build very quickly. But that's just another reason why I don't want gear to transfer over to Division 3. Because then they're trying to contest with these old exotics they made. How do we balance those? You know, how do we do all that? Like, let's just get a clean slate going. You know? That's what I think.
Golden bullet being assembled by hostile.
Alright, we're almost 2 hours in.
A golden bullet.
My voice is getting a bit scratchy, so we'll go for a little bit more here, but if anyone has any topics they've yet to discuss that you guys want to, you better throw them out. I'll give the stream about another 15 minutes, probably. But I appreciate you all hanging out. This has been a lot of fun. Glad I decided to do it. What about Heartland then? What about it? It's still coming. Next update in 2024 is what Red Storm told us.
I was only just...
They did announce today that Red Storm's other game is actually coming out in November, which is the Assassin's Creed VR title. So that'll be interesting. I don't know. I don't think that has any huge correlations to Heartland because those are probably pretty separate teams, given it's a VR title. But, you know, interesting nonetheless.
Hostile completed. The golden bullet. Detecting additional hostile contacts.
Who's behind me? Whole nother group.
Reinforcements en route. Incoming hostiles detected.
You guys got to get off the roof. Oh, I'm so dead.
Serious trauma detected.
Oh, why are there so many behind me? There we go. It did need specialization kills, right? Is that overkill much, chat? Jeez.
Detecting additional hostile contacts.
I can't even see through the fire. There we go. I'm sorry if I'm falling behind on chat. I'll catch up after this.
Hostile detected.
Come to me. No, I'm gonna lose it. Oh, peek up, peek up. Golden Bullet versus
That's critical.
the named named enemy damage debuff. There we go. Yes, Todd, they did. Just started the Division 2. You're my fave YouTuber that covers the topic. Super. That is incredibly kind of you to say. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed your time at Division so far, and I hope you continue to. All right, what was up here? What do you expect from Division 3? Oh, that's such a big question. Do you have any more specific areas you're wondering about? 24 minimum. Cows, or I'm not sure how to say your name, but 24 minimum for sure. One big DZ. Postman, I'll give you a spin on that answer, because I've actually had a similar thought. But what if the Black Tusk actually restore? So here's the thing. Division 1 was about collapse of society. It's an empty city, right? Div 2 was about, reclaiming some of that. And we see that with the settlements and all this. In Div 3, what if the Black Tusk actually establish themselves within a city and they actually kind of get civilization going again, just in this one location? And so that's where we go, and we have to kind of infiltrate this one big city that they control, and society's actually somewhat functioning. And then the Dark Zone could be, the jail or the prison where, if you break the law, they just throw you into the Dark Zone, and it's a free-for-all. Or there could be like a faction in there that's trying to bring about the second coming of the green poison. having an actual populated city for the game, I think it'd be a really cool concept. But I agree, some form of the Black Tusk win could be neat to see. Where am I going? Right here. I agree, Soap. I agree. Like Division's own Night City. Yeah, basically. I think it could be cool. Super excited about D3. Thank you for your great content. Pablo, thank you for your great comment. And thanks for watching it. Glad you enjoy. I am super excited as well. Just give me 999 storage. Hey, exotic component. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And we got our last reward from the track. So that seems like a good point to stop that. And let's do a game of conflict before we get off here, shall we? Got to get some PvP going as always.
Incoming backup request.
Question is, do I run Pulse or FAMAS? You guys got to vote for my build. Type 1 if I should do this one with FAMAS, or type 2 if I should do Pulse. You tell me. It would be cool if the prologue was before the... Yeah, that would be neat. Mav said 32. You know, Mav, I just might go to my 30-second build. No. All right, majority 2s. That's what I'm seeing. There we go. Got to color coordinate the build, of course. That's just how I roll. Let's get it. Maybe it will take place in Boston because they do mention in Div 2 comms. If it's staying in the US, my top 2 picks are either Chicago or Boston in the winter. So I would be down with that, Mike. That'd be pretty cool, I think. It's all love, man. It's all love. Can't wait for D3. Love the first division to death. Me and you both. Well, this is already decided. Interesting build. I can live with that. I can work with that. If they make the armor system... Wait. What I agree with most is if they make armor system... I'm not sure I fully get what you're laying out, Randy. Should have it in Scotland. I know that'd be your pick, Michael. How you doing, man? Well, that's the thing. A lot of people say it doesn't make sense for Division to go outside of the US. There's a million story reasons you could do it. Something I said earlier, and obviously this is, you know, I'm just kidding with it, but you can see how you could make it work into something. In Warlords, if Keener had said, you know what, I'm going to take my Eclipse missile to London and launch it from there and hit the US, is the Division just going to say, oh, you got us, and you left the US, now we're not going to do anything? No, you're going to chase him over to London and get him. There's so many different ways that they could work it into the story to make us go to a different country, and they've introduced the concept of the mobile shade server to where now you can take the SHD network anywhere you want it to go. So, staying outside of the US forever and ever, sure, maybe that doesn't make sense, but there's reasons you could set a campaign in a different country. Good lord, that bleed. Where's this dude? Back there? Do you think chicken dancing should come back to Div 3? I don't view chicken dancing as like... I don't view it as like an aspirational feature that I would necessarily say I want chicken dancing to return. I more or less think it's just kind of a byproduct of how the division is structured. And if the system means that chicken dancing is possible, then I don't care, because I think the setting up the system in that way is more important. For example, having instant healing. I was saying earlier, I would bring back the first aid pot, but I would give it like a 1-second animation that plays every time, where you have to lift up and, like, you know, inject your arm or whatever. There's ways to balance this stuff more
Serious trauma detected.
than what we've seen. And so no, I don't think chicken dancing is like the most engaging way of playing, but what they tried to do in Division 2 was eliminate chicken dancing altogether. And then we got Division 2 PvP, which, you know,
Boost.
I still play it. It has its moments, but it's not nearly what Division 1 was.
Immediate medical assistance
So
needed.
that's probably kind of a roundabout way of talking about it, but hopefully that makes sense.
Rogue explosive seeker mine detected. Hostile explosive seeker mine detected.
Should I buy Woney now or wait for a deal at World Tier 2? Since you're already in the World Tiers, you definitely... I wouldn't recommend you start it until you get to World Tier 5 and you finish all the missions, so
Hostile stinger hive
I'd say there's no
detected.
harm in waiting until then and seeing if a deal comes up.
Down.
100%.
The boost is being taken by the enemy.
But if you want to stick with the Division 2, you should absolutely get Woney at some point, because it's needed for all the current day content in the end game and all that.
The boost.
Whoa! Insanely clutch booster hive right there. Alright, there's 2 of them down. Someone better finish that. Michael coming in with the $10 donation like a legend. No message, no nothing. Just to support. You know I appreciate you, man. That is very kind of you. Thank you, dude.
An agent needs assistance.
Nicest community on YouTube. That's what they say. And by they, I mean me.
Drone detected. Hostile defender drone detected.
Whoa! Whoa!
Immediate medical assistance needed.
That was tough.
Agent out of action.
There's the 12-month member message. Been a member for an entire year. Like a legend. That's how we do.
Rogue explosive
Thank you,
seeker
Michael.
mine
Truly.
detected.
Thank you.
Hostile explosive seeker mine detected.
A specialization supply drop has been arranged for you.
Rogue stinger hive detected.
What's up, Graphos? How you doing?
Hostile stinger hive detected.
Oh, I was gonna get that kill. Come on now. I'll get this one. If I didn't think I would be beamed while grabbing it, I would grab that, but I feel like someone's waiting to shoot me.
Supply drop being claimed by friendly. The specialization supply drop has been claimed by an ally. fight is halfway done.
Push it.
An agent needs assistance.
Did this guy just leave? No, he's back there.
You don't have many reinforcements left.
Watch this. Bake it. No! Hey, I was trying to get a cool rocket shot off, dude.
Detected.
Come on, man.
Vital signs critical. Agent incapacitated.
That was rude.
Agent down. Agent.
Folks, just a reminder, wrapping up the stream in a few minutes, we are only 13 likes away from 200 likes. 200. So I don't know. If you're hyped about Division 3, maybe you should leave a like. Just saying. Just saying.
An agent needs assistance.
I'm just putting that out into the universe.
It's up to you now.
Hope they bring back classy armor. Yeah, I was saying earlier, I'm not opposed to it if they make changes to prevent it from being as overpowered as it was in the first game, because it kind of just killed build diversity for me. There's ways you could do it. I just don't know if that's necessarily my biggest priority right at the launch. Oh, that's what I get for looking. I looked over at chat for half a second. That guy ran around the car.
Agent out of
Oh, and we're out of lives, too. I should not have done that.
Rogues have run out of
I might have just screwed our team really bad.
You can win this.
Oh, stick it. Stick it. Legend. No! No!
vital signs critical.
Oh, I feel so bad. Wait, it's a 1v1.
Agent down.
Oh, I so believe in this guy.
System
It's a 1v1.
restored.
Guys,
Deceased.
believe in our teammate. Believe. He's got his armor down. He's pushing around the truck. Can the guy take cover? Oh, and he gets him! That's what I'm talking about.
Boost will soon deactivate.
Wait, you should have just killed him, though.
The boost is being taken by allies.
What are we doing? He should have
The boost has been taken by allies.
Guess he just wants to gloat. Revsicle coming in with the 4 months. Rev, thank you for supporting and being a Heartlander for that long. It means a lot to me. Thank you. Like an absolute legend. And we hit the 200 likes. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you. Wait, he wasn't dead? Oh, I was totally off. I thought he was dead. Maybe one respawned.
You won. Well
That's
done.
probably what happened. And we won, though. That's all that matters. Pulled out the W. That's a good prediction, Soap. I was saying I think it's hard to know for certain because we don't know how far the story is going to go in between now and when Div 3 launches, but hopefully it's a pretty, central and important storyline to the Division, yeah. 7 and 5, I'll take that. I will take that. What if they make green poison a virus infecting people like zombies? A lot of people have asked for that in the past, but the reason I think they won't is that the devs said before that they're not interested in making Division zombies just because it's been done so much. So, not impossible, but I doubt it.
Also, control point nearby.
Alright, well, let's crack these caches, folks, and we'll call it a day. Phenomenal stream. Appreciate you all hanging out. Ton of fun. We talked about a lot of Division 3 stuff. And we'll be talking about a lot more. I already have a few videos I want to do on it before Season 2 drops, which again is presumably on October 3rd. But yeah. Super stoked for all the Div 3 hype. Can't wait. Can't wait for what more we learn over the next few years. Friend of mine's getting back into the Division, so I'm saying you're ready to learn. Thank you, man. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting next few years. Because like I said, even though Div 3 is several years out, Div 2 DLC, Heartland, maybe Division 2 Year 6, 7, Resurgence is going to be in there. More Heartland content, all leading up to Div 3. I think the slow days of the Division are behind us. And from here on out, it's just going to be more devs getting added to the brand, more resources, more content. It's going to be really good. I'm glad you made it too, Mav. I want to, I'm still trying to sort out my dumb PC issues. Once everything is fully sorted, I want to stream a lot more often. But we will be streaming on the launch day of Season 2 for sure. For that new incursion. Hey, Michael, never have to apologize, man. I appreciate you tuning in and supporting like you always do, man. Have a great weekend. There we go. All right, folks, that is going to do it for the stream today. Like I said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the generosity. Yeah. Can never say thank you enough, but I truly appreciate it. Tons of people tuned in, give their thoughts on Division 3. It is still surreal that it is a thing that we can now talk about and look forward to. So like I said, a lot more videos coming on it in the future. And yeah, next time I will be live will be the launch day of Season 2, assuming it's on October 3rd, which I'm pretty darn confident it will be. Got the new incursion, got all the new stuff. Lots to look forward to. And as you all know, plenty of videos planned in the meantime. So, thank you all very much for hanging out. Let's do our chat scroll, shall we? Let me take a swig of water here first. Maverick, Michael, Tyron, Refsicle, Larry, Randy, Tone, Soap, Puff, Mike, Weasel, Graphos, who was in earlier, Richard was, Libertarian, Primate, Exo, Galactic, who else is up here? Tadashi, Carlos, George, everyone who's in here, appreciate you all very much. And as I said, I will see you very soon, and we'll have more Division 3 to talk about, which is pretty sweet. So, until the next one, guys, Rogue Gold, out.